I thought it'd be handy to do a bit of an overview video, the Honda S2000 engine bay, just to help anyone who's maybe struggling, is not that clued up. Obviously mine isn't completely standard. I've done quite a bit of work on it. So yeah, we'll just have a quick look round. Starting with the front, you have the radiator. Mine's an alloy one, so it's different from the factory one, but it's the same principle. You've got your radiator cap and your overflow bottle, and basically when your radiator gets to the point where the water's expanding and it's pressurising, it will dump the excess coolant into the overflow bottle, and then vice versa. When it cools down, it will suck water out of the coolant bottle. And then you've got your fans. Mine are aftermarket Spal ones, but you'll have your factory Honda ones. We'll start over here on the left. I've got my torque damper, my Ingalls one. You've got your ABS unit, which is just there. I've got a master cylinder brace as well. You've got your brake master cylinder, so that's where you've got to check your brake fluid, and your booster just behind it, which uses engine vacuum to assist your pedal. You've got your windscreen washer over there, and I believe this one just here is the electronic power steering control unit. And then just over here you've got your clutch cylinder, so that's where you top up your fluid and gives you your assistance with the clutch. Right, so if we just have a look at the back here, right, you've got your, I think the cam, this sensor here is like your cam sensor. It detects what position the cam's in, and then you've got another one I believe on the other side, and then underneath this yellow cover, which obviously is not yellow on yours, you'll have your coil packs. Now coil packs are a pretty important part of the engine, in that if they play up, then your car will start misfiring. So if you get ignition problems or a bit of a hesitant or misfire, often it can be your coil packs breaking down, because they're in a hot part of the engine, and they do see quite a bit of abuse. You've got your dipstick there for checking your oil, your Pcv valve, which controls all of your crankcase emissions. When these get blocked, you can start using more oil than you'd normally expect. So they're a bit of a serviceable item. It's worth taking them apart, or worth changing them or cleaning them occasionally. You've got your oil filler cap there for topping up with oil, and use that in combination with your dipstick to get the correct level. And then looking down here, you've got your Vtec Solenoid there just behind my engine damper, and or torque damper. Vtec Solenoid is what controls your Vtec engagement. So basically your engine management unit sends a signal to the Vtec controller, or Vtec Solenoid, which will cause it to operate. You can see just there you've got your oil filter. My coolant lines for the oil filter cooler, which is just between the oil filter and the engine block, are different from yours, because obviously mine's been out in the past, so I've redone it. But basically uses engine coolant to both warm up the oil and cool it down. You've got all your pulleys here. You've got your water pump pulley there. You've got your tensioner here. That's probably some sort of idler pulley. You've got your main crank pulley down there at the bottom, and then you've got your alternator pulley just here, and I believe it can, yeah, just at the bottom there, you probably can't see it, is your AC pulley. So moving around to the right hand side of the engine, you've got your injectors, which are these things here. Mine are aftermarket and the cover's off at the moment, so they're basically what feed the fuel into the engine, and they're fed by this aluminium fuel rail, which is quite nice for a factory item. They're normally cheap rubbish, but Honda spent money on this, which is which is quite clever in this respect, because you've got a fuel pulsation damper there, which is there to deal with any pulses you get from having the injector switching on and off. And then just behind it you've got your fuel pressure regulator, which controls the fuel pressure based on the vacuum of the engine. Looking towards your right, you've got your air temperature sensor just there. That tells the ECU what sort of temperature the engine's the air the engine's sucking in. Towards the front, you've got your inlet manifold, and you've got your map sensor just here, your throttle position sensor just there, and then you've got your intake manifold, which I've got an AEM one which goes down to the front of the car. And then over here you've got your throttle cable and your throttle cable adjustment just here. And then you've got a selection of relays to do with the engine, like more heavy duty relays, relays and fuses. Some air conditioning lines. You can see your alternator again just down there. And then just looking up here, you've got your air conditioning top up point. So the S2000 engine bay is pretty straightforward, to be honest. Your basic things, like I said, the ones for someone who doesn't know much about cars, is your coolant bottle, check that. Check your radiator when it's cold, see that it's actually full. Check your dipstick for oil, and if it's low, top it up using that filling point. And then you've got your clutch and your brakes, so your brakes are quite important, I'll check that. And then you've got your washer fluid. So that's the sort of things an average person would have to look at on an S2000 on quite a regular basis. It's quite an easy engine to work on, plenty of room, and they're pretty bulletproof. I mean, mine's done, I'm trying to think now, it's probably done at least 2,000 miles on track days, I reckon. Never missed a beat.